Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Imagine this. You walk into a bakery, right? You see that perfect croissant and, well, you need to ask for it. Seems simple enough.
Uh-huh.
But what if, say, you're late for work because of an accident? Could you explain exactly what happened? Clearly, calmly, all in English to the police.
That's a tougher one.
Or picture this.
Mm-hmm.
You're standing at the airport check-in, and bam, they tell you your luggage is overweight.
Mm-hmm.
Do you actually have the English array?
You need to sort that out.
Right, and those are, well, precisely the kinds of real-life situations we're diving into today.
Okay.
We're looking at a resource that's really designed to help you face those exact everyday scenarios, in the English-speaking world and feel confident doing it.
So it's a guide for practicing conversations that actually happen.
Exactly, the kind you really encounter.
So think of this deep dive as like your shortcut. We're going to pull out the most important bits from this guide, the surprising stuff, or practical tips, basically show you how simulating these common interactions can build your fluency.
And boost your listening confidence, too.
Yeah.
And just make you feel more ready for whatever English throws your way.
What's really interesting, I think, is the core idea behind this source. It takes these different everyday settings, places you genuinely might end up right.
Right, like the bakery or the airport.
Exactly. And it frames them deliberately as, well, not just places, but as real opportunities to practice very specific kinds of English.
Turning the everyday into a lesson.
Pretty much. Routine tasks, unexpected problems, they become targeted language practice.
It really does seem that way. The material covers, honestly, a surprisingly broad range of scenes. They've clearly picked situations with different language demands.
Mm-hmm.
You've got dialogue set at a police station, a clinic, that bakery we mentioned, the gym, an office.
Even talking about exams and plans.
Yeah, navigating an airport, and even something like a job interview.
Yeah.
It seems designed to make sure you're not just, a one-trick pony conversationally.
And a really key insight, pedagogically speaking, from the guide is how much it pushes for active practice. It's not just handing you dialogues to read. No, it insists you get involved. A core instruction is literally repeat key phrases out loud.
Okay, so actually speaking them.
Right. It's not passive listening. It's about getting your mouth, your brain, used to actually producing the language naturally. They even suggest things like shadowing.
Shadowing?
Yeah, where you repeat the dialogue almost immediately after hearing it. You try to mimic the speed, the rhythm.
Okay. That makes sense. That active participation feels crucial. Let's jump into some of these specific scenarios then. What kind of practice do you actually get? First up, and this one sounds, well, maybe a bit daunting. The hit and run report.
Yeah, this scene's set at a police station that immediately tells you the language needed is specific and potentially quite high stress.
Definitely.
So the guide uses this one to focus on describing an event accurately, using the past tense correctly, which is vital for explaining what happened.
Right, the sequence of events.
And it also drills asking for and giving that essential personal information clearly.
So phrases like, I was involved in an accident. That's your opener. But then the detail, like describing the other car. It was a black Audi with tinted windows.
Exactly, getting those specifics down.
And practicing, just stating who you are. My name is Beth Canner. The guide's tip here is smart, too. It says pause after these key sentences and repeat them as if you're actually reporting your own story.
Right. It connects the language straight to the function. It forces you to kind of own the sentences,
Yeah, it makes it real.
And this brings up a good question for you listening. How comfortable do you really feel recounting something that happened, maybe something stressful, using the right verbs, the right details in English? This scenario is a direct way to practice that skill.
Okay, good point. Now, shifting gears a bit, from stress to maybe health concerns, the guide includes a scene at the doctor's office.
This dialogue takes you through a whole process, checking in at reception, maybe a quick chat with a nurse, talking to the doctor.
The usual steps.
Yeah, and the guide highlights this as really good practice for polite conversation, using the right requests, the right responses, plus obviously specific health vocabulary and the language you need for making appointments.
So you'll hear and practice things like the polite request, I'd like to see Dr. Owen, or interacting with staff. May I use the restroom first? And confirming things. Your appointment is set for next month.
And the pro tip they give for this one is to actually practice asking and answering different medical questions yourself.
Ah, rehearsing potential questions.
Exactly. The thinking here is that health situations are, well, they're unavoidable parts of life. Having this language practice before you need it just removes a huge barrier when you actually need medical help.
And that makes a lot of sense. It's practical prep for moments when you might feel a bit vulnerable.
Definitely.
Okay, let's move to a totally different place. The gym membership talk.
Right. This scenario simulates that conversation you have when you're thinking about joining a gym. It's framed as useful for picking up vocabulary about schedules, different training options, personal training, classes.
And the actual language of signing up for something.
Precisely. So you'll run into questions like, do you offer personal training? Or making a choice, I'll take the open access membership, right down to the practical stuff like needing a photo, please smile, this is for your access card.
Oh, okay.
And the guide specifically flags vocabulary here, terms like open access, what that means, credentials for your login or card, and comparing membership options.
It's interesting how even a simple thing like joining a gym has its own little language bubble.
It does. Each context has its jargon, its common phrases. The guide isolates this specific language pocket for you.
What about the everyday workplace? Does it cover that?
The source includes casual office chat. Yep. This scene has colleagues talking about a mistake, working together to solve a problem, and just general planning. The guide uses it to expose you to language for, like, supporting a colleague, and also common workplace expressions, even idioms.
Okay, so things like offering a bit of encouragement, every cloud has a silver lining, or planning next steps, let's schedule a meeting, or giving praise, I'm proud of you.
Those kinds of phrases. And the suggestion here is to act out the scene with a friend.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, because workplace chat often relies on tone, maybe body language, stuff you just don't get from reading it silently.
True. Acting it out helps you feel the rhythm, the context.
Exactly. Now, for something maybe less high stakes, but still surprisingly rich in language, at the bakery.
Ah, yes. Back to the croissant. This dialogue walks you through buying baked goods. The guide points out it's good for food words, polite small talk with the baker.
And amusingly, it even includes a little baking tip. Yeah. Beyond asking things like, what's the filling, or hearing, this is a fresh batch, the dialogue actually has the line, water temperature matters for the yeast.
Huh. That seems random.
Well, maybe a little, but it mimics how real conversations can sometimes take small detours, right?
Yeah.
It forces you to process info that isn't just transactional.
Good point.
And the task they suggest is fun. Describe your favorite bakery items in English. It directly uses the vocabulary from the scene.
It shows that even the simplest purchase can involve more language than just pointing and paying. The guide also jumps into student life, doesn't it? Exam stress and New Year's plans.
Mm-hmm. A dialogue between two students covers stuff lots of people relate to midterms, looking forward to holidays or events, making resolutions.
Familiar ground.
Yeah. And the guide presents it as a fluency booster specifically for that casual, chatty English, talking about future plans, using idioms naturally.
So you'll find phrases about doing well, like with flying colors, or talking about relaxing stuff, pleasure reading and brisk walks, and the whole idea of New Year's resolutions.
Right. And the guide specifically pulls out with flying colors, explaining it's an idiom meaning with great success. It shows how these dialogues weave in those natural expressions.
And understanding idioms is so key to sounding, well, less like a textbook. Getting them in context like this probably makes them stick better.
I think so. Now, back to travel. Always a big one. At the airport.
Yes, the potential minefield of check-in. This scene covers the whole process.
Yeah.
Dealing with bags, getting your boarding pass, confirming gate numbers, even the in-flight meal choice.
The classic chicken or pasta moment.
Exactly. The source highlights this is excellent for specific travel vocabulary and maybe more importantly, dealing with problems, like that overweight baggage scenario we mentioned earlier.
Right. The guide gives you the exact language for those stressful moments. Your bags are overweight by 10 kilos, or making a request, would you like a window or aisle seat? And those meal choices.
And the practical task here is really useful.
Yeah.
Write down and memorize the standard check-in process using the phrases from the dialogue.
That seems smart.
Yeah, because airports can be high pressure, especially if something goes wrong. Just having those phrases ready in your head could seriously lower your stress level.
Absolutely. It's about turning potential panic points into practiced, manageable dialogues.
Okay, one more. They also include the job interview at Olive Garden.
Right. A specific scenario, but broadly applicable. It simulates an interview for a customer service job. The guide uses it to show how to answer common interview questions confidently, with structure, framing your skills and experience effectively.
Okay, so what kind of phrases come up?
Things like how to state your philosophy, I'm an advocate for customer service, or highlighting your best qualities, my strength is dedication and follow through, and talking about your ambitions, in 5 years, I'd like to be a manager others come to for advice.
Sounds like standard interview stuff, but practiced.
Exactly. And there's a vocabulary booster too. Words like questionnaire, proactive, empathetic, idioms like climbing the ladder,
Yeah.
even hooked up, which in context probably means having a referral or connection.
Okay, so if we step back and look at all these scenarios together, the police station, the doctor, the gym, the office, bakery, student chat, airport, job interview, what's really striking is the sheer range.
It really is broad, isn't it?
Yeah, it covers everything from buying food to reporting an accident to trying to get a job.
Yeah.
It's not just basic tourist phrases.
And that range highlights a really key point about fluency, I think. It's not just about knowing lots of words. It's about being able to handle the specific language needed in diverse situations.
Right, the different language landscapes, as you call them.
Yeah, the guide's strength is exposing you to these different landscapes and giving you the tools, the specific phrases, and practice methods for each one.
So what's the big takeaway here for you listening? This deep dive, I think, really shows that getting fluent in real-world English isn't just about hitting the grammar books or memorizing word lists.
No, it really seems to come from actively practicing the kinds of conversations you'll actually have across that whole spectrum, from ordering coffee to handling a problem at the airport.
Yeah, from the everyday croissant to the unexpected accident or the big job interview.
And the resource makes it super clear. You have to actively engage. Repeat the phrases out loud. Try shattering. Maybe even act out the scenes like the office chat one suggested.
It's that simulation, that repetition that builds the muscle memory for speaking.
Exactly. It helps you internalize not just words, but natural expressions, the flow, the rhythm of real English dialogue.
Which hopefully makes you feel way more comfortable when you're actually in that situation for real.
So, thinking about all this, here's something for you to mull over. Reflect on these scenarios we talked about. Describing an accident, the doctor's visit, joining a gym, office small talk, buying something simple, discussing plans, the airport check-in, a job interview.
Which one of those feels the most intimidating to you right now?
And how might practicing just one specific dialogue, focusing on that single context, using this kind of active approach, maybe unlock a bit more confidence for you in that area of your English-speaking life?